Welcome to the Metal Prognosis. My name is Lee, and today's video is recommended by people leaving some stuff in the comments from other videos. And when I heard this comment, I thought I'm going to jump right onto that because that's a really cool idea. So we have the Marshall DSL here, and we're going to match it up again with the Palisades. Now, I've done this video before, but what we're going to do this time is we're going to match it up with my Jackson guitar, which is in C tuning. So a little bit higher compared to the 7-string that I used for the last video that I did for this. And to spruce it up a bit, what I thought would be also interesting is my band Shadows at Bay released a song in 2020. So I thought it'd be cool if I play a section of that. So instead of just dialing in something that's pretty cool and then seeing what inspires me to play, this time I've already got a song as a point of reference to try create a sound too. And as an extra little thing I thought would be really cool in this video is firstly, I'm going to dial in a sound just using the Marshall. And then we'll put this to the clean setting and then put this Palisades back to work and see how much we can really push this. And then we can do a nice A-B comparison to see how they sound back to back, to see how much this actually does make a difference compared to how far we can push this amp just by itself. So I thought that would be pretty cool. So yeah, we'll dial in 2 different tones. One with this and one with the Marshall just by itself. We'll put it to a full band mix with drums, bass, and double up on the guitars with the left and right speaker, and compare them, see how they sound, and have a chat about it afterwards. So this is going to be lots of fun. And also, before we move on, thank you very much for this suggestion. This is a great idea for a video. So let's see how it all holds up with the Marshall by itself and the Palisades doing its thing. Now we have everything set up, ready to go. So I've got the Marshall here hooked up to my speakers in the other room and got double mic technique happening there, which I'll run through in a moment. So firstly, this is a sound that we've got coming through. It's coming through the clean. But we want dirty, so chuck it straight on the ultra gain channel, and we shouldn't have anything. We don't, because we need to give it some gain. So I'll just chuck it at, what's that, that's setting 4 there, but it's pretty much 12 o'clock is how I refer to it, which is straight up and down. So let's clean up this sound. First we need presence. Yeah, I like a lot of presence, so I've absolutely cranked that. So let's give it a little bit less bass, give it a little bit more mids, and a little bit of treble. That's sounding nice and aggressive already, so let's try a little bit more gain. Bit more gain. Starting to get a little bit too broken up the sound, so I'm going to dial it back to just past 12. Yeah, I like that there because you also got to keep in mind that when we put it to a full mix, we're going to be doubling up on these guitars, and whenever you double up on them, well, you emphasize all its characteristics. So if you have it a little bit too broken up to start with, you're going to double up on that broken upness and it's going to sound a little bit too muffled, which we don't want. We want clarity. Okay, so that's sounding really good just as it is. I don't think I need to change anything else. So what I'll do is, I'm super quick to dial something in. Let me first run through the two different microphones I have plugged in. So this is the first microphone. Which is the SM57, and then we have the E609. And both together. So my theory is there, I use the 57 mic to pick up the higher register, so to speak, and the 609 to pick up the nice low warm dynamics. And then I pretty much just dial them in exactly the same, both coming in neutral through my mixing desk there. I could muck around a little bit more with it if I wanted to dial in the sound a little bit more precise, but for these type of videos, I just don't really have the time to go backwards and forwards in doing it. So, but it's sounding pretty good as it is. Cool. So I'm going to take a little bit of a step away from the camera, record the song, then we'll come back after that and add in the pedal and set this Marshall to clean and see how we go. So sit back and enjoy the first version of the two versions of this song. And I'll see you on the other side where we'll dial in the different tune. All right, now I've got everything set up back in this mode. So all that I have done is I've just changed a channel on the Marshall, go to clean. So this is what we've got coming through. Not much volume, but hopefully we're going to push it using the Palisades here. So firstly, let's activate it. Give it some boost, and hopefully it'll give us a volume. There we go. All right, we want some distortion. So this has a gain B. So there's two different gain levels you've got here. So we're just going to use A because it doesn't really matter. I know, put it 12 o'clock. All right, it's a bit choppy, so let's get a little bit more. All right, so let's go through all the different voicings and the bandwidth. So first, the difference is the voicing is, this is really hard to explain without just using its terminology because I really like how they've labeled it. So the voicing is the different characteristics of distortions it can give off, where the bandwidth is which frequencies it's going to home in on. So just to let everyone know, I've left the EQ settings the same on the Marshall amp. So we get a little bit more better of an A-B comparison. If we need to change it later on, we will, but as a foundation and it's just from a starting off point, I've just left that all the same. So let's look at all the different voicings, because those were the two standouts, voicing 1 and 2, when I had a 7-string hooked up to it. So let's see what 3 sounds like. 4. Whoop, 5. And 6. So I lost a lot of volume in this, so let's just chuck up a bit of volume on here. Not sounding too bad, not minding that. So we've got the normal and bright, so let's turn it bright and see what happens. Might be a bit too top heavy. Yeah, a little bit too twangy at the moment. We might come back to that switch. So let's change the bandwidth a bit, because I'm not minding the distortion, but it's sounding just a little bit too dry. So if you're into stoner rock, this is the direction you'd want to go. But we're not into that. Not so much not into it, but for this video we're working on a song that has definitely got characteristics. I actually like 3. Actually, correction. I prefer 4, which is but I don't want to fall into the trap of, and this is a trap that anyone can easily fall into while chasing tones, is isolated, that sounds amazing. So really, really amazing. But when we start doubling up on the guitars, that rich bottom end is going to be overemphasized. And I'm afraid it might become a little bit too cloudy and too muddy. So I'm going to dial it back to the 3. It's got a lot of aggression, it's got a lot of bite to it, but it's just scooped down a little bit of that bottom end, also to leave room for the bass guitar as well, and the dynamics of the drums, because the bass and the drums add their own low-end dynamics that we don't want to steal, or not so much steal, but we don't want to compete with that, because we want their instruments to have their own little spots and to fit in with the mix to the best of their ability, to make it all sound good. So this is actually sounding good as it is. Let's try the brighten now that we've got a better bandwidth. It's got a bit more of a tack, so let's change the bandwidth to the deepest. All right, so it's starting to break up the sound a little bit too much there, so dial back the band. That's actually a decent sounding distortion. But a little bit too broken up, so I'm going to turn that bright off. Turn the bandwidth back down. So let's just do a little bit of this is a sound that the Marshall's just giving off by itself. I actually can't hear it. The strings is making more sounds than what I'm getting out of my studio monitors. But still I insist on playing. We turn it on. Let's just change the voicing. Yeah, I think that's the best setting for that riff in this song. The other ones are a little bit louder, but louder doesn't make it better. It's hard to comprehend sometimes because sometimes louder is better, especially when you are playing metal and you do got a loud drummer and loud everything and playing at a big stage. It is good to be loud. But for what we're doing right now, definitely dialing back on the voicing on the lower level one, because I feel like the distortion is more fitting. I don't think there's anything else I really want to change with that. That's sounding all right. So we'll just go with So we'll go with that settings and see how it sounds. So I'll take a little bit of time away from the camera and step away. I'm not going to step away from this, but take some time away from the camera. Record the song again, but with the pedal engaged. And then I'll play them back to back, and then we can have a chat about it afterwards to see what we think about the difference between them. So I hope you enjoy the song again. And hopefully, yeah. They're definitely going to sound different, so it's just a matter of which one do we prefer and what discussions it's going to bring up. So, in saying that, I'm going to have my little jam, and I'll see you all on the other side. Time for my final thoughts on the comparison between the Marshall and the Palisades pedal here. So firstly, the Marshall, very easy to get a good distortion sound out of this, and a very warm distortion sound I feel that this amp gives. Really super friendly and super easy to use, which is really good. Before I delve in more to that, let's move over to the Palisades. So this one here, which is, I'm really glad I did this video, because normally I put my 7-string to this because I really like the aggression that I can get from the 7-string plugging into this. But we didn't need as much aggression with my Jackson guitar there, which is tuned to C, compared to tuned to G, drop G tuning in my 7-string. So utilising this, we got to use different voicings, which is really cool. And also the bandwidth got to push that a lot more further compared to when I plugged in my 7-string to it, which was really cool. I've never used it on the normal mode without pushing the bright, so that was really cool to see what other things this thing can do. But to try sum this up in a non-babbling way, I felt on reflection listening to the mixes back to back I think this had a little bit too much top-end bite to it. So I probably could have delved in a little bit more with the bandwidth, which I actually dialed back during the setup of it because I thought it would be too much. But yeah, hindsight is an amazing thing. So I probably should have pushed the bottom end a little bit more with this. But I think the main thing is not so much what worked better and what was worse, but more so on how much this can really transform an amp sound just by engaging it. So using the clean on this and engaging this gain and this characteristics on the diversity between them, because I really like both sounds that I did for different reasons. And as I mentioned before, hindsight is a wonderful thing. So I definitely would approach it differently if I was using it for a recording settings. Let's say for a hypothetical that I was doing that song, which is called Come Undone, using this device, I would definitely approach it, well, firstly, changing the bandwidth to adding a little bit more bottom end, but there would be a lot more going backwards and forwards and testing it after recording to tweak it and polish it up better. But for the purpose of this video, I think it was a success in regards to how much we did actually change the sound of an already good sounding amp and what other sounds you can get just by adding this pedal to it, which is really cool. So another thing, like the boost, I instinctively just used the boost because I like the boost sound, but maybe it didn't really need it for the drop C tuning and the style of guitaring that I was playing. So some things I will just mention, as in adding to my thoughts to it. In one of the second part of the second part? Yeah, the second part of the playthrough that I did of it, where I was even using some high notes. And I bring that up because a lot of time with distortions, especially with some rhythm tones, when you're coming up with a distortion tone, you need to compromise. So sometimes the higher end notes and the high frequencies sound a little bit not the best, where the bottom end sounds amazing. Or vice versa, sometimes when you're coming up with lead tones, the higher frequencies sound amazing, but the rhythm sounds all muffly and a bit oversaturated, or whatever the scenario might be. So it was nice that with both the Marshall and with the EarthQuakers device, Quaker device, not Quacker, it's not a duck, device, that it had clarity on both ends. I had clarity when I was doing the rhythm and clarity when I did those couple of little high notes. The lead melody part that I put in there definitely was dry, but I purposely kept it dry. In a more, if it was a project, let's go back to the hypothetical, if I was recording this actual song to be released, I would be adding a little bit more warmth to it and maybe a little bit of a delay to help it blend in a little bit more so it's not just dry and sitting on top. But I left it like that so you could actually get a good representation of what these are like by themselves. Because these videos are about capturing these sounds, not hopping in the studio post recording it and sprucing it up and sparkling it and polishing it and making it. I'm not showing off my sound engineering skills for these. We're experimenting with the equipment as they are. So that's all I've got to really say on that. So as much as it sounded good doing it, there's always an argument it could sound better if I delved in and spent more time with it and polishing it up. So there are my thoughts on this. It was lots of fun. So I'll leave a link in the description of the actual album that you can listen to for free if you want to hear the original recording where I used my 11 rack here to get the guitar tones from that. So you've got a third comparison if you want to delve into that. And also just to hear how it sounded for the final version when I released it back in 2020. So I think that's enough babbling from me. I'm keen for your turn to babble. What are your thoughts on it? How do you feel about the Marshall sound that I dialed in? Do you think it was good enough, or should I have spent a little bit more time cleaning up the sound? And vice versa. How do you feel when I engaged this? Do you feel like I should have spent more time on that? Do you agree with the bandwidth aspect where I should have added in the more bottom-rich bandwidth compared to the one I actually went for? Or do you feel like the aggression and the dryness that I had from this was perfect for it? And it really cut through exactly how you would like it, the guitar to cut through. Especially keeping in mind with in a full band mix, there'll also be vocals there as well. So do you feel like that it was cut through enough where if you were to add vocals in, there's enough space and room there for the vocals to be able to shine as well? Yeah, let me know your thoughts on all of it. And if you saw the other videos that I've done using the other video where I matched these two up. And who knows, by the time you see this, there might be another video that I've done after this where I match these two up again to try something else, because they are lots of fun to put together. What are your thoughts about those compared to this one? So yeah, please let me know all your thoughts so we can keep this conversation going. This video was lots of fun. And it was inspired by the fact of recommendations, having conversations with you. So thank you very much. And please keep up commenting on different ideas or other things you want to see, because it makes me more excited to put them together and kind of cater for the videos that you like to see with the equipment that I've got to utilise. So yeah. So in saying that, I'll do my usual sign-off now. So whether this video is in the foreground or the background, I absolutely appreciate your company and being a part of these conversations. And until next time, we do get to meet up and do this again, which I absolutely look forward to. Please, stay safe.